What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Final Pick Pod. I'm your host, Zachary, and with the co host right here.
What's up, guys?
And we got a special video today. We are the day before the NBA draft. It's going to be less than 24 hours, and stuff's already getting spicy. We had a big time trade a couple hours ago today, and it involves Jerami Grant getting sent to the Portland Trail Blazers for a 2025 pick from the Milwaukee Bucks. On paper, it doesn't look like the Pistons got a lot back for Jeremy Grant. But when you think of big picture wise, it makes a lot of sense for both sides. Obviously, the Blazers, they got a great player in Jeremy Grant to be able to go alongside Damian Lillard. But the Pistons, they ended up clearing, I want to say, 21 million in cap space with Jeremy Grant, and now they have a total of $56 million in cap space this offseason that they can go ahead and pretty much sign whoever. Someone that's getting a lot of buzz right now is possibly DeAndre Ayton. Obviously, he's a restricted free agent. He might command a max contract, and the Pistons got a lot of money to offer his way.
I like the fit with Ayton, man. They'd have the two guys that they drafted before Luka, so I think that's a good little fit. Bagley's there right now. I mean, it's Grant's kind of a better player than that, but as far as value, they did clear up the 20 million in cap, and they got a future first, which you never know how teams end up. So I feel like it's fair. I think the main part was the cap though.
Yeah, and I mean, they also got the $21 million trade exception they could use at some point. If they want to take in a big salary to get another future pick, you never know. That could be something that might be worthwhile near the trade deadline. But overall, I thought it was a decent trade both sides. Jeremy Grant with the Blazers, I think that's going to be an interesting fit. I mean, Jeremy Grant, he's not the best shooter, but obviously you got Damian Lillard on that side. He's going to be able to find him. I think he could be a decent pick and roll threat off the roll. He's not necessarily known as that, but like I said, Damian Lillard, he's going to be good at getting you into pocket passes, getting you in space to get to the rim. I want to see a bit more efficiency with him, though. With Blazers, he was kind of up and down efficiency-wise with the Pistons, but he was kind of the star player on that team. But also, one thing that the Blazers have lacked a lot in recent years is perimeter defense. Jeremy Grant's going to be a big-time defender for them, and especially with some of the rumors they're going around some other guys trying to go after, that perimeter defense should be a lot better for the Blazers this year, and Jeremy Grant's going to be a big part of that.
So you see, the thing that confuses me about the trade is Blazers side is they got Damian at the point, obviously. I think Anthony Simons is a very good player, and he's most likely going to be their starting two, which puts Grant at the 3. But everything that they're projected to get at 7 seems like a shooting guard type player. So, I mean, of course, it doesn't matter. They could draft whatever position they feel like is best player available. But I think they're real. I don't know what their cap situation is looking like, but I feel like if Nurkic is in a package, I feel like John Collins is a possibility, or they go big in the draft at 7.
I think they probably want Grant to play the 4. That's kind of the position he's played the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll probably keep him at the 4. I think Nurkic is a free agent that they'll probably try to bring back, if I'm not mistaken. I think they have a little bit of cap space, but nothing to do any major moves.
Yeah, no, they're paying Jeremy Grant 21 million now, so that's probably all their cap, to be honest, because Dame's getting paid the bag. They got to bring back some of their other players. I mean, how much did they clear up last year with McCollum trade?
The McCollum trade, so actually, what they used to get Jeremy Grant was part of the trade exception that they got from the CJ McCollum trade. So that's why they didn't have to give up any players in this trade, because they're able to use a trade exception from that trade from last year in order to execute this.
Got you. All right, understand.
Yeah, and I mean, this is by far not going to be the last trade that happens in the next 24 hours.
I wouldn't be surprised if something happened while we're doing this live stream. I would not be surprised if something happens.
100% something could happen.
Yep.
And I mean, I got kind of list of some potential guys right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect a lot of movement to happen next 24 hours. So what the executives are saying, I've seen it happen before. People say there's going to be a lot of movement, nothing happens. But I truly think stuff's going to happen this year. So, I mean, first player, I think this guy's definitely getting moved. John Collins. I mean, he's been in trade rumors.
He is gone. He's not going to be on Atlanta all next year.
No, I think Atlanta's going to go ahead and do a lot of reconstruction. I think only Trey Young's safe and DeAndre Hunter is safe. I think DeAndre Hunter is safe. Who knows?
No,
But
DeAndre,
everybody
they got to build
else, I think
around
is
him.
gone.
They got to build around him. I agree with you completely. Capella's got to be up for trade. Collins is 100% going to get traded, but Young and Hunter's who they need to build around. Those are the two guys that actually have potential. I mean, Young's obviously already an all-star, but DeAndre Hunter, I really love DeAndre Hunter, and they really need to build around him as well.
Yeah, and I mean John Collins. I think if he gets moved, I believe personally he'll get moved to a Western Conference team. I'm pretty sure the Blazers had interest. I don't think it's going to be
Mm-mm.
there anymore. I believe I've heard the Kings have had previous interest in him. That could be a possible a possible trade
I'm
target.
now,
I don't
I'm
know.
now hearing a lot of the Spurs, and I'm hearing a lot of
Spurs.
DeJounte Murray for him straight up.
There was a report that came out recently from Jake Fisher, I believe, that
Mm-hmm.
talked about a potential swap. Now I
That
know
would
the
be a bad swap
Spurs.
for the Spurs, I think.
I completely agree.
Okay.
But Spurs said that they want like a Drew Holiday esque trade package
Yeah.
back, which I think is somewhat fair. Personally, I just don't see a reason to move to Dejounte Murray. I mean, he had an All Star appearance last year, a great young guy for the team. I say just keep building around him. I don't know if he's going to be a star level player per se, but I mean, he's a great player to build around. There's no reason to move, especially for a John Collins type at the moment.
Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
the thing is with the Spurs is DeJounte Murray is their one bright spot, but they even though they came in ninth or 10th place, whatever they did last year, they're really just not a contender. So I feel like what they need to do is get the value when the value is needed, and it's needed. They need more assets, just like I think that they should be doing what the Thunder have done. Traded all their assets, gotten a shitload of picks, and they got who do they have there? Josh Primo, Devin Vassell. Uh, besides that, they don't really have any old guys. They have Keldon Johnson. You could have him as a rotational player. I think they need to. I think they do need to trade DeJounte. I don't think John Collins is the route though.
I could see building. I like a lot of guys in teams. They also have Lonnie, who you didn't mention. They got Jakob Pertl, who's a very underrated center in the NBA.
Lonnie's
I
a
think
free.
Lonnie is Lonnie free agent.
Yeah.
Still, they could bring him back. He's not going to be costing them a lot.
No.
But talking about the teammate though, Clint Capella, he's been in trade rumors. I know I can remember top of my head. The Timberwolves are a team that's interested in Clint Capella, possibly the cat to the four, which would be an interesting development. I think I heard Malik Beasley could be a possible guy coming back to the Hawks, which I mean doesn't move the needle to me too much. I think he's more of a reserve player than a starter caliber player on a team that's trying to make a playoff push. But he's a solid guy nonetheless. If that was a route they're going to go for,
Yeah, you know what's weird is I remember just hearing over the last 2 years, the Timberwolves really have been trying to push for John Collins in trades during the trade deadline. The last 2 years, I've heard it. They've been looking for a four next to Cat, and now it seems like they just want to give up on that, put Cat in the four, and get another big man. So it's I'd keep Cat at the five. I'd go for John Collins if I'm the Timberwolves instead of Capella. But yeah, they're involved with everything.
I would too. But at the same time, I don't think Capella's really going to have much value in the trade market. I think you could probably get him for pretty cheap. So
Yeah.
that might be why they go that route. But I mean, Capella's a solid player. When he was healthy last year, he did a lot of good work for the Hawks. A lot of good work for them. When he got hurt, that's when they kind of went through their stretches not playing so well. But, a fresh change could be what they need. And I do think the Hawks as a whole just need a total reconstruction of their roster. Because, I mean, obviously they were in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago. Obviously, some luck did play into that. But you got your star in Trey Young. You got a great piece of DeAndre Hunter. Build around those two guys and just completely reconstruct everything around them.
I agree.
But it looks like it's the route they're going for.
I'm not a big John Collins guy either. He's just young and athletic. I mean, I've never been crazy on John Collins. He's a decent player, but it's just I agree with what they're doing. I think they should be doing that, but they need to be careful what they do because they already are a playoff team in the East. You don't want to ruin that.
Yeah, for sure. And there's another guy that is going to be in the trade market that I don't believe is going to be with this current team at 24 hours, and that is Malcolm Brogdon of the Indiana Pacers. He's been involved in a bunch of trade rumors. I know one at the top of my head is the Washington Wizards. They're very interested in Malcolm Brogdon try to pair with Bradley Beal, who still has a decision to make about his free agency. But Malcolm Brogdon, he's been great whenever he's been on the court, but injuries has been a thing. He's still kind of weird. I don't know if he's a point guard or a shooting guard necessarily.
He's a point. In my opinion, he's a point guard. I think he's a very good point guard at that. Like you said, though, the injuries do affect him, but they already declined one trade. Don't blame them for declining that trade with the Lakers.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was just not happening. I don't think Brogdon gets traded. I personally don't think he does. More of the rumors I've seen is the stuff that has been offered for him. I don't think Pacers move on from Brogdon. I don't think they should either. I think he could be a piece they could build around as well. I think they would more likely trade Miles Turner than Brogdon.
now I think both are going to be traded. I can see Brogdon possibly being traded to the Pelicans. I think that could be another option. Getting him as the point guard, I think that could be very nice with him, CJ, Ingram, Zion, Valanciunas. That could be a really nice lineup.
That would be very nice. Herb Jones at the 3. That'd be a very nice lineup.
Yeah, I'd personally be shocked if Brogdon's back. They've been trying to shop him for a while, and now they actually have an opportunity to trade him since they couldn't last year because he signed that contract extension. I think he's going to be traded in the next 24 hours. And then to Miles Turner. I'm already saying that he's a Hornet.
He's a Hornet. Yeah, he is Hornet culture right there, baby.
They have 2 lottery-ish picks, one at 13, one at 15. I think there's a good chance that one of those picks could be headed to Indiana for Miles Turner. And I know they've also had rumors that Pacers want to trade Turner for one of those picks, try to pack some picks to move up in the draft, which we'll get to the actual draft part in a little bit. But I know they definitely are a team that is looking to move up, like a lot of teams this year. Next up, another trade guy, and some of these are more recent, but Kyle Kuzma. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the Wizards are willing to shop him around a little bit. I mean, I'm not the biggest Kuzma guy, but he has his moments and he can be a useful player for a team that, off the bench, he can provide some points. He's really improved with his rebounding this past year, and he's a decent defender. He could be a decent guy for a team that's looking for a good bench forward.
I feel like any player that's on that same level or on the bench is involved in trade packages. I don't feel like it was a secret. I just feel like once they make one call saying, what's Kuzma's value, it pops up on radars as someone they're looking to move. So obviously, every offseason there's like 30, 45 players that are rumored to get traded and 10 maybe move. So it's going to be rare. Kuzma, who fucking knows? He might be one of the guys that gets moved, but it's not something that's going to like change the game, obviously. But it just feels like anybody that gets made a call about gets thrown as a person they're trying to trade. Like Jay Crowder, for instance, just got thrown into that as well.
Same with Tobias Harris. He got into it. He's got a huge salary.
Did Tobias Harris really get thrown into trade conversations recently? That I see though. That's a bad contract. He's a good player, but it's just a bad contract.
Yeah, and I doubt he'll get moved. The Sixers might have to add a pick to him, so I doubt he gets moved.
That'll have to be like a Jerami Grant type shit, but like with more than one first, I think. Or not, my bad. Not more than one first in return, but something with Tobias.
And then two more people I want to talk about trade-wise. One, OG Anunoby. There's rumors that he might be on his way to Portland for the 7th overall pick. I wouldn't hate that trade for Portland or necessarily the Raptors. I don't know if there's necessarily a need to trade OG for Raptors, but if there's a guy you really like at 7, you got Siakam, you got Scotty Barnes. You have players to replace OG if there's someone you really like at 7. So I'd say if there is that guy, I'd go for it. And then if you had OG next to Jerami Grant at Portland, that's a very good defensive 3-4 right there. That could really help with Anthony Simons and Damian Lillard with their defensive deficiencies.
For sure. I don't think they'd have to give the 7th pick straight up for him, though. Anunoby's trade value is a little weird to me. I feel like he can go anywhere from pick 7 to – it's just weird. He's a weird player to me. You're obviously way higher on him than I am, but high upside player. Definitely adds defensive would add defensive assets to the Blazers. I'm also seeing now that the Celtics are in on John Collins as well. You just don't know what's gonna happen, man. I just don't know what to believe. So I'm kind of just numb to the shit now. I'll see it, but I'm not gonna like think about anything because now all 30 teams are in on every player. It seems like.
What? Where would John Collins play if they
Yeah,
start? They
that's
start Robert
horse. We're gonna
Williams.
disrespect him like that.
That'd be a interesting fit to say the least. That'd be very interesting.
I don't think they need to be adding those caliber of players. They need to be adding bench pieces, players that could help them get over that hump. They're there. They don't need to be trading for John Collins. What would they trade for John Collins to make the cap work?
I don't know. I mean, I saw that they might shop around Grant Williams, Payton Pritchard. Don't
They're not getting
don't.
paid though. What is Grant getting paid? I know Pritchard's not getting paid.
They're both getting paid
Minimum,
on
right?
rookie contracts.
Yeah, so I don't know what they're talking about. How would they be in on John? Do they have an exception or no?
No idea.
Yeah, see, I don't know how that would work at all. So I don't know. I don't even know why that's a tweet at this point. Like that's a tweet that's popping up on my phone, and it's kind of pissing me off because that's just not going to happen. And watch, now that I said that, 2 minutes later, John Collins is going to be traded to the Celtics, but
Exactly.
it just wouldn't make sense. That's not a move the Boston Celtics need to make.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
No.
But one more guy who I think is a very good chance of getting traded is former 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Some Jazz are going to break it up, whether it's Mitchell, whether it's Gobert. I'm pretty confident they're going to get broken up. And I don't know where Gobert's going to go. I know there's some I've seen, maybe Charlotte, but like I said, I think Miles Turner makes more sense there. I've heard about a bull swap with Vucevic, maybe Patrick Williams there is kind of the holdup. Adding Patrick Williams to that trade. But I do think Gobert gets moved. I don't think that Mitchell and Gobert can play another second together. And
I
I mean,
think. I'm sorry for interrupting. Keep going.
no, I'm saying tomorrow's the draft. You can get some value for him. I think that Gobert's going to be a new team.
Shit's gonna be crazy tomorrow, but it all doesn't have to happen in the draft. Picks are gonna get traded, but free agency, there's a lot of trades that happen before then as well. And when 12 o'clock hits, Timofey Mozgov signing an $80 million deal. So we'll just wait for 12 a.m. More trades will happen. Cap will open up. But let me tell you this right now: if I had to pick a spot for Gobert, fucking got to go to the Hornets. If I'm the Hornets, you got to make that trade. I don't want Miles Turner. You got all these young guys that are doing dumb shit. You got LaMelo Ball. Don't waste his career. He's an amazing player. Gobert and Hayward reuniting with Utah. That's what I think it is going to be. I think Hayward's been on the trade block as well. No shocker. Everybody's on the trade block. But I could see that happening. Gordon belongs there, and they need some age down there in Charlotte. They need some matureness. They can't keep trading for these young guys. I'm not saying Miles Turner's not mature. It's just – and he's not a problem off the court. It's just those young guys. It just seems like everything's fucking up down there, and it doesn't look like the future's bright for the Charlotte Hornets. So I think getting an older guy that has proven he's been a Defensive Player of the Year 3 times now or 2 times?
Pretty sure 3 times.
3 times. Go get him, Hornets. Like, what do you do? Like, that's the move you need to make. That's the move you need to focus on. Get LaMelo a big man. That'd be amazing. That's the move they need to make, not Miles Turner.
Yeah, I mean, I like a trade for Gobert, but at the same time, do they have the money to get Gobert and try and bring back Miles Bridges? That's probably the goal, to bring back Miles Bridges.
Yeah, that's
Turner's on a cheaper contract, so it might make more financial sense to do something like that. But who knows? We got less than 24
what I'm saying,
hours.
man. Gordon Hayward, man. That would be fun. I think that would be fun. What's Gordon Hayward getting paid? I'm about to look it up right now.
Isn't he getting paid like $30 million?
Yeah, he's getting paid the Celtics deal. Yeah, $30 million.
No, the new deal. He signed a new deal with the Hornets just last offseason.
Well, the Celtics bought him out, right?
No, I don't think they bought him out. I think he's just signed with the Hornets in free agency. I think it was a sign and trade.
So it's 40 and 30. So the Hornets would have to make up 10 million. So I'm thinking something like a Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward deal. And then, of course, not just Rudy Gobert straight up, but I feel like small picks here and there. Players like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, which they shouldn't trade. He's a good player. But like small players thrown in. But I could see a Rozier Hayward for Rudy Gobert.
I don't know what each side would say about something like that.
It'd be interesting for sure, but I think that'd give him, because Rozier's getting paid more than $10 million. So I think that would clear up enough space to get the Bridges contract done. if that's what they want to do. They'd have a 1, a 3, and a 5 with a bunch of young guys that they don't use in Martin and PJ Washington. Who are some of the young guys they got there? They got so many young guys there, and they're just. And then, what's their pick this year?
Then we said they had 13 and 15.
They have 13 and 15.
I'm pretty sure.
Bro, get the Gobert deal done. They can draft a 2 and a 4. Start like that's what they need to do. Get a Gobert deal done. Try to clear some cap with it as well. Rozier, Hayward, Gobert pick. Get that done. That's got to be a thing. That suits both teams what they need. Nobody wants to go to Utah except for Gordon Hayward. Nobody. And Gordon Hayward even switched on them. Nobody wants to go to fucking Utah. And I feel bad for them because the only players that they ever have that are amazing, they draft.
Yeah, and I mean, Mitchell looks like he might want out. He might not. We'll have to wait and see. But you got to try keeping those guys home. You got to try keeping those homegrown guys there.
But at the same time, it's got to – you're obviously not winning with it. So you got to – I get it's almost like it's – I really do feel bad for Utah because it's like it's not a destination no free agent wants to go. And they draft very well. And those players just don't have enough time to get – they don't have enough time to draft 5 players that could win a championship. So you got Gobert gone. And I don't even think Mitchell likes Gobert like that. But I feel like if Mitchell saw that, he'd still ask for a trade. Like you're definitely not winning a championship with Mitchell, Hayward, and Rozier. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's. I feel like their best chance was last year when Ingles was healthy and they had all that.
Rozier, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, that was their best chance. They gotta get what they can get and get as much as they can get. And what I mean by that is assets because you need a draft to get players. You can't. No one's gonna sign there. And I truly do feel bad for Utah.
Yeah, they'll probably have to draft some guys, maybe package some stuff to go for another big-time star. Don't necessarily who that big-time star would be, but they probably got to try to get assets to try to trade for someone big-time.
Somebody without a no-trade clause.
Yeah.
Because they ain't waving that shit for Utah. That's I feel so bad for them. Like, that's why I'm happy where I was born. You know what I mean? Because if I was born in Salt Lake City, I'd be upset right now. Like there's no future, right? And it's so sad, and it's just unfair to be completely honest.
All right, so now it's time to get to the mock draft. We're not doing a full first round mock draft. I'll be completely honest. I don't know enough to do a full first round mock draft, but top 10 picks, that's something that is in my range. So tomorrow, obviously, NBA draft. A lot of rumors going around. But for my mock draft for the 2022 NBA draft.
Do you want to do the top 10 picks first, or do you want to do sleepers?
Let's do the top 10 picks.
All right, yeah, do your top 10 right now.
Yeah. So my 2022 NBA mock draft will be Orlando Magic going with Jabari Smith, OKC going with Chet Holmgren, Houston Rockets with Paolo Ventura, the Sacramento Kings going with Keegan Murray, Detroit Pistons going with Jaden Ivey, the Indiana Pacers going with Benedict Mathurin, the Trailblazers getting AJ Griffin, the Pelicans with Dyson Daniels, the San Antonio Spurs with a bit of a surprise pick with Ousmane Dieng, and then the Wizards going with Shaedon Sharpe. That's my top 10 mock draft. Do you want to go with yours?
Yeah, let's do it. And it's not different, basically. It's different, but it's weird. All right, so I have Jabari Smith 1 and Chet 2, but that could easily switch. It could be Chet 1. I'm hearing a lot of Chet 1 now. Woj thinks Chet's going to Orlando. It could be either way. But Jabari 1, Chet 2 to OKC. Paolo's the only lock, which is when have you ever had the only lock pick 3? So it's the weirdest shit ever. But Paolo going 3. You got Keegan Murray going 4 as well. I think if the Kings do draft Keegan Murray here, they're retarded a little bit because if I've heard the Pistons are in on a trade. They're trying to trade up so no one could jump them for Jaden Ivey. Why wouldn't you just take what the Pistons are giving you? Move back your spot. Take your player you're going to take anyways. So that's why I'm going to go Jaden Ivey here at 4. Okay?
So you're going Jaden Ivey at 4.
I'm going Jaden Ivey 4. It just doesn't make sense not to make that trade. I have Keegan Murray going 5 to whoever is there. I don't think it's going to be Detroit. I think it's going to be Sacramento. I got 6 Indiana Pacers going Benedict Mathurin. 7, I have Shaden Sharp. I heard the Blazers really do like him, but that also could be a trade spot. You just don't know yet. Um, but it seems like they're open to moving 7. I have the Pelicans going with Dyson Daniels. I feel that's a great fit. Great two-way player. Spurs going Oseme Dieng. I heard they liked him. They always I promise I could show you the paper right here. They love those project foreign guys, and that's exactly what he is. He has high upside. He's a project foreign guy. And I
Mhm.
have Washington Wizards going AJ Griffin.
All right, so a little bit differences here and there, but let's go ahead go start back up to the top, right? So we both had the same first overall pick,
Yes,
Orlando going Jabari Smith. I personally think that's kind of in pen at this point. I think that's
I
where they're going
don't think
to
it
go
is.
with. Um, Although I will say the odds have shifted a bit where Jabari's still the favorite, but Paulo's actually second in the betting odds right now, which has shifted in the past 24 hours, which is a interesting development to say the least. But I still think it's going to be Jabari. Um, Jabari is an interesting prospect. I don't think he's as good as your typical number one overall pick, but he does have a lot of upside. I mean, he's got a nice shot. He
That's a
is,
great shot, not a nice shot. He's got the smoothest jump shot I've seen in a while.
but yeah, I'm talking about like his actual. I'm talking about just his
The
actual
form,
form. It's nice. Yeah,
disgusting, disgusting.
yeah.
Keep going.
But yeah, he's a good defender. Um, and I mean, the one main thing with Jabari Smith is he's going to need to be set up. He's not going to create a shot on his own.
Nope,
I mean, if you're asking him to try to get it at the elbow, try to create his own shot, it's just not what he's good at this time.
nope.
But I mean, uh, you have him. Well, I have him going to Orlando. They don't have the best point guard play right now, but they have some potential. They have
Fultz, Anthony,
we got that full Steph Cole Anthony.
Suggs.
They got Jalen Suggs. None of them necessarily known as playmakers yet, but maybe one of them can develop what am I trying to say? A nice two-man game
For
with
sure.
Jabari Smith to get him going in the pick and roll, get him in the pick and pop. But that's really my main concern, especially with number one overall pick. I'd kind of want my guy to be able to create a shot when
Shot.
need be, but he's got all the tools that you want, and he has the potential to be something special. But Orlando, with these type of guys, does not have the best track record at the same time.
Nope. But and my stance on Jabari Smith is he is the biggest boomer bust in this draft. It is just plain and simple like that. He's going to be a top 2 pick locked, and he has the smoothest jump shot I've seen in a while for a 4, especially for that size. You're not going to block that shot. The guy's arm, he has got a 7-foot wingspan, and he's got the smoothest jump shot I've seen in a while. But he can't create, like you said, he can't create his own shot, and that's scary as a number 1 pick. Like if I'm personally, of course, I'm not Orlando, but if I'm the Orlando GM, I don't care what Paolo wants. That's who I'm drafting at 1. I think he's the most NBA ready player. But Jabari Smith, of course, has high upside, like you said, but he is big time boomer bust.
Yeah, I mean, that's always scary, but at the same time, you're Orlando. You haven't had the best success. I mean, you traded Vucevic to do a complete rebuild. You're not expected to do anything this year. Maybe go with some. I wouldn't necessarily call him a project, but go with the high upside guy who has the potential to be something.
I just
Um,
love the thought of Paolo next to Franz Wagner.
could
I
could be
love.
decent, although I do like where we have him later. But
That's where I think he's going, but
at
love it.
at number 2 though, I love Chet Holmgren with OKC, having him next to Josh Giddey and Shea. And I will say, for some reason, I have a weird feeling Shea might end up getting traded. I just have a weird feeling
No,
about that. But if he does stay there, which he should if you're OKC, that three-man group right there, I think has a lot of potential to be something. I
a
mean,
lot.
Chet, he can create his own shot. Not saying he's the most efficient guy in the world, but he can create his own shot. He can protect the rim. He's kind of the prototypical big that a lot of people like, kind of a common comparison to Chris Stapps like guy. But what does scare me is that guy needs to bulk up big time. He's very skinny, and if he doesn't bulk up, he might have a injury history in his career. It's just what happens. He might not be able to hang with the big guys down low, and he might get beat up. He just got to bulk up. That's really my main concern with Chet.
Yeah, and I've been all for that bulk up situation, and I've been wrong over the last few years. I've been like, KD, what is this? That not just me, because of course I wasn't. I was probably 4 when KD got drafted, but everybody, guy can't lift weights, and I know it's different. The guy's an interior player, but I'm waiting for him to break. Like I'm talking about injuries, which he has, but nothing serious. Kevin Durant, all those skinny players, they tend just not to break. And I feel like Chet's, and it's different because he's an interior guy. But my biggest thing that I love about Chet Holmgren is his defense, not only his blocking, but I've noticed while watching his highlights that most big men don't know how to use their body. It's more of just go up, get ball. That's what it is. And he controls his body very well. He doesn't put body on body. He doesn't create unnecessary contact. Doesn't which happens to not draw a lot of fouls, which is big for a big man. So I think his defense is more impressive than his offense, to be completely honest. Of course, his size does hurt him at points, but he's just the best two-way player in this draft. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. As far as two-way, OKC would be lucky to get Chet Holmgren at 2.
Yeah, I really, really do like the fit if he ends up going to OKC, which I do expect to happen. Yeah. Houston Rockets, Paulo Ventura. Why don't you start with this one? We like about Paulo. Obviously, your favorite guy in draft.
Well, he's not my favorite guy in the draft as far as upside, but he's the most pro-ready, and that's what Houston needs. They have Kevin Porter Jr. there. They have Jalen Green. I think Paolo Banchero is going to be a star. My comparisons for him, if you'd give me a second, I really have some fun comparisons for him. 1 second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, while you looked it up, I'm going to say what I like. Offensively, I don't think there's really a single flaw in his offensive game. He can pass, he can shoot. He really has no flaw whatsoever in his game, in his offensive game. Defensively, though, he's got some question marks. He looks unengaged at times. Like we talk about Jabari Smith with his defensive upside. We talk about Chet, how good of a rim protector he is. Paulo doesn't really have that, especially at the 4. I mean, he's not going to be asked to protect the rim necessarily, but I do have questions about how good he'll be defensively. But offensively, I mean, Houston's an offensive-heavy team, and I think it's going to be fun being able to put him next to a Jalen Green, being able to see how many points they're able to put up a night.
I just like how like the Rockets worked out Paolo Banchero the next day traded Christian Wood. I just thought that was funny as shit to me. But so my comparisons for him, and these are a little weird to be completely honest because they're not necessarily size matches. I have DeMar DeRozan. As far as this is all offensive, I'm not saying nothing on the defensive end. I have DeMar DeRozan and DeAndre Hunter for him. He's just an ISO player, and the guy could do what he wants when he wants. He's just a big brute mauler, 250 pounds, loses 7 pounds a game and gains it right back. But I don't believe that. But
I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird, but I don't think it's a concern by any means. But he's the perfect fit, and it blows my mind that Houston's going to have the chance to take him at 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's a clear-cut top 3 guys, in my opinion. I want to say it's
a clear-cut top 4, I think. At least all these trade rumors, yeah.
I think those guys are the consensus top 3, and then I guess when you're talking about Jaden Ivey, I think he's kind of the consensus 4 for most people.
Yeah, I think the Kings are to be completely honest. I think the Kings are bullshitting about Keegan Murray. I think they're like there was the TikTok earlier. It was Keegan Murray. The Kings putting that out there. They loved him for no fucking reason, and I think they like Jaden Ivey. I don't think he wants to go there, but
so here's the thing. So we'll go on to number 4. I have Keegan Murray. You have Jaden Ivey. I think the Kings want Jaden Ivey, but as far as I'm concerned, from everything I've read, Jaden Ivey does not want to be there. I know he has openly said he would like to be in Indiana because that's kind of where he's from. He went to Purdue. Detroit, yeah. But honestly, I would not be shocked if the Kings end up trading this pick. There's a lot of interest in that pick. I know that the Pacers want to move up to try to get Jaden Ivey, and there was another team I can't think of the top of my head. Are they? I don't know if they're.
Pistons are super high on Jaden Ivey, and
they like Ivey.
One of the only 2 teams that's worked them out. The only 2 that doesn't mean anything. But the only 2 teams that worked him out were the Magic and the Pistons. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but at the same time, we've seen the Kings not work out Davion Mitchell
For
and
sure.
still end up drafting him. But also know there's some teams that are trying to trade up to for Keegan Murray, like the San Antonio Spurs. I know were a team that was trying to go up for Keegan Murray, and there was one other team. I don't remember who it is, but there is a lot of interest at fourth pick. We'll see. They do trade it. But I think if they do
Oh,
keep
the
it,
Knicks.
was it the Knicks?
Yes, the Knicks were trying to move it from 11.
I doubt they can end up jumping that high.
They're not. They're not
But
going.
I'm not really predicting any trades in my mock draft. So I mean, with Keegan Murray, I think that he will be a beautiful fit next to De'Aaron Fox's brothers. He can really move well off the ball. He's a very smart player. He knows how to get open, and his defensive versatility is amazing. He's not going to really create his own shot, like kind of like how we said Jawari Smith. I'm not saying his like handles necessarily as bad, but he's not going to create his own shot. But he's just a very, very smart player, getting open, cutting to the lane, and be able to have someone like that next to De'Aaron Fox. And also as a bonus, as a great playmaker, I think that could be very fun with those three uh, playing together.
Two things I want to touch on really quick. The reason why I went Jaden Ivey at 4 is it just feels like the Pistons are high on him, and they want to make sure that nobody jumps them to grab him. So if I'm the Kings and I'm taking Keegan Murray, why wouldn't I take whatever the Pistons are offering me? Because you move back one spot, you get to pay Keegan Murray less. So I don't believe that shit, that they love Keegan Murray. And if they do take Keegan Murray, then the whole Detroit super interested in him was obviously not real. But I do believe it, and I don't believe they're going Keegan Murray. And if they do, I think they're trading the pick. I think there's no reason for them not to take whatever's offered to them, even if it's a second round or a few second round picks. It's free.
Well,
They have to trade back.
you also never know the Pistons themselves are playing smoke. You know, they might want Keegan Murray. I mean, they do have Kate Cunningham. Not saying Ivy couldn't play next to
And they
him,
have Killian
but
Hayes.
they, I'm not really too worried about Killian
I fucking
Hayes.
hate Killian Hayes.
But I'm saying they did get rid of Jerami Grant. Keegan Murray could fill that hole. I'm not saying that's where they're targeting because I have them going Jaden Ivey next. But I'm saying you never know. Like you don't trade back one pick if you really like a guy. If you
So
really like
yeah,
him.
you feel like they like two players, and they'll take whoever's there. I
Yeah,
can see that. No, I agree with you on that. But my other thing is I don't like Keegan Murray. I
I,
watched him, a lot of him. I don't like him. My comparison for him was Marcus Morris.
I think they're definitely different players.
Well,
They're,
nobody's the same player, but I feel like that's just based. Of course, that's all opinion. I'm not calling him a bust or anything. I don't think he's gonna do what he did in college, dropping 24 points a game, and I don't think he's that.
yeah. So fifth overall pick, we got the Detroit Pistons. This is where I have Jaden Ivey. And I mean, Jaden Ivey, you know, he's a bucket getter. He's going to be able to create a shot at will. He's going to be able to get to the rim at will. The only thing is, I mean, besides shot making, I do have concerns. He really wasn't asked to do a lot of playmaking in college. Just kind of the system itself. He had the ball in his hands, but he wasn't asked to create for others. Now, luckily, if he goes to the Pistons, they have a guy with the name Kate Cunningham, who is a very good playmaker. And just in general, I feel like Kate Cunningham was very underrated last year. But
He
that's
he
another
was he was.
that's
Cade
another
Cunningham.
story for another day.
He's a good ass player. I love Cade Cunningham.
But also, he was very lazy defensively. Jaden Ivey was in college. Now, who knows? Maybe he's doing so much in the offensive end that he just like, I'm gonna take a couple defensive plays off here and there. Who knows? But defensively, he definitely has a lot to work on. Yet again, though, I mean, Kate Cunningham next to him is a pretty good defender himself. But that too, as a backcourt for the future, I think could do a lot of damage. I think they could play
Right.
off each other very well. And I mean, that Detroit would be very lucky to have both those guys for the next 15 years next to each other.
Let me just say this, man. You got Cade Cunningham.
And Sadiq Bay.
Listen, Jaden Ivey, Sadiq Bey at the 3. You got Bagley or whoever you want to start at the 4, Stewart, Ayton at the 5. That's a good ass team. Like that's a good, especially for Detroit standards. That's a good team.
You're gonna have to get a 4. I don't like backing at the 4 at the moment, but
Oh,
that is a
I don't
lot
like
of
it
potential.
either, but
Or
yeah,
you can move Sadiq Bay to the 4 possibly, but
or
nonetheless,
Livers has been playing very good for them. Very solid player. But yeah, yeah, if they get Jaden Ivey, that's perfect for them. Don't think they will, but if they do, I think they trade up to 4. Um, but yeah, Detroit's in a good spot. I mean, as far as Detroit standards, they're on the right spot. I like that.
all right, number 6, Indiana Pacers. Who'd you have? Do you have Benedict also?
I had Benedict Mathurin.
What do you like about him?
Say that again.
What do you like about Benedict?
Uh, he's a springboard. That was my one word for him. He's always jumping. Whether it's a dunk, and I don't know if you noticed his jump shot. Man's 5 feet in the air for his jump shot. He's just a springboard. He's athleticism all over the court. I don't necessarily think he's going to be a star by any means. I think he's more of a role player personally, but I think he's a good player, and I think that's what the Pacers need right now is potential. And of course, all these guys that are going top 10 have potential. Uh, but yeah, my word for him was springboard.
He definitely would be a Buddy Hield replacement for the Pacers because that guy can shoot the absolute lights out.
And
That man is a crazy good shooter. He's also very good at just getting open in general, either going around some ball screens or cutting to the basket. And he showed a lot of improvements just in general from his first year to his second year. Just trying to create his own shot. He's still not great at creating his own shot, but he's definitely gotten a lot better. His athleticism is off the boards.
yep,
And even though he wasn't a great defender at college, just based off his profile, off his athleticism itself, I think there's definitely a lot of potential there for him to improve as a defender. So overall, I think he's a bit of a project that, if he is developed right, and Tyrese Halliburton, I think is a very good young point guard who I think could definitely help him get him open and all that. I think that he does have one of the higher potentials in the top of the draft.
uh, for sure. I don't agree with that, but like everybody's got their own opinion. I think he's gonna be. I think he's very solid. I think he belongs at that spot 5 to 6 range in this draft. But for the Pacers, I can't ask for any more. High upside, like you said, he's a split cack. He hits some threes, man, and he's athletic. He's fun to watch. So I can't hate the pick.
Yeah, so pretty sure we're different here. So number
Yeah.
7 to Portland. If they keep the pick, there's some trade rumors going around with like OG and stuff like that. I got AJ Griffin. AJ Griffin, he's an interesting player. He did have a bit of injury concerns. I know that,
He sprained right and left knees.
but I mean, he is like an absolute major shooter. I might just said Benedict was one of the best shooters. AJ Griffin might be the best shooter in this draft. He was shooting 48% from three. He would have led college basketball in 3-point percentage if he qualified with enough attempts. He just didn't shoot the ball a lot. So in the NBA, if he does get more attempts, I want to see how his percentages fluctuate because he has some amazing potential shooting the ball. And I mean, he's 6'6", got 7-foot wingspan. His defensive upside is crazy. And he's just a very interesting player because he kind of plays at his own pace out there. I don't know if I remember you asking me like Jimmy's move, like kind of way consider it.
Yeah,
But I wonder if you're kind of concerned with him because they both kind of move kind of similarly in
they
a
do.
sense.
I don't know what it is. I think it's the low center of gravity when they do the little. I don't know I still don't know the phrase for it, but the size up, I guess you want to call it. He's just very good at that, and I think he's one of my favorite players of the draft, especially for where he's projected.
He's got a very unique game.
Definitely, but he reminds me of a little bit of a taller Donovan Mitchell, and that was my comparison for him. And
Who could play defense? Well, at least
exactly.
upside wise.
Yeah, and I think that has something to do with the height as well. But that and less of a jumping Andrew Wiggins was my comparison. Andrew Wiggins obviously is the smoothest jumper in the game, one of the smoothest jumpers in the game. Like I'm talking about jumpers, dunking the ball.
All right.
And yeah, and his knees just aren't there. You could just tell like something's happening. He can't. He could still dunk it however he wants. It's just not fluent. You go what I'm saying? So I love him, but I didn't have him going there. I had Shaden Sharp, and no particular reason except I heard Portland loves him. I don't think I don't know what Shaden Sharp is. I don't. He didn't play at college. Uh, it's very hard to watch high school highlights and say this guy's going to be amazing. And I think Shaden Sharp is a genius for what he did. To be completely honest, he was the number one ranked player at a high school. Said he just wanted to sit for Kentucky, and is a top 10 pick. So I think he made the money move. He did the right thing, but I don't know what he is. I'm not going to talk about his play style, nothing. But I just heard Portland's in love with Shaden Sharp.
Well, we got to see if he made the right move. We got to see if he falls or if he gets drafted. I think he does have a wide draft range. I do hear a lot of teams like him, but at the same time, I'll get more to him when I talk about him in my mock draft. But the one thing about, like, I don't know if I like the fit with Portland. They got Simons, they got Dame. I don't know if I want to put another guard into there, especially. But
Griffin's kind of a guard. He's kind of a 2-3.
yeah, but I still don't know if I necessarily like that fit the best. At least compared to like an AJ Griffin, like I think I like that fit better.
Let me say this right now. I think AJ Griffin's a better player than Shaden Sharp. I just based off what I've heard, and of course,
yeah.
it doesn't mean anything. It's just a guess. But and I don't know anything about Shaden Sharp. It just sucks because I want to know everything about a top 10 pick. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. But I'm just doing that based off of what I've heard. And AJ Griffin, I think, is a better player though, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And just wanted to say, DeJounte Murray tweeted on Twitter, about that potential trade rumor earlier. Don't know if it means anything, but it looks like box office. But number 8, Pelicans. I got Dyson Daniels, which is an interesting player. He's been rising up a lot of draft boards, supposedly. And I've heard the Pelicans really like Dyson Daniels, and I really like Dyson Daniels in New Orleans. I mean, if they decide to keep the pick, who knows if they try to trade it, maybe for a Malcolm Brogdon type or something along those lines. But I think he could be a really good point guard. And I mean, can't say I watched him too much in the G League because a lot of stuff I'm watching kind of like based off recent memory. It wasn't really going back to watch these guys in the past few weeks, more of it off recent memory. But I mean, from the couple clips I did see from playing G League, I mean, he was not a good shooter. But there are rumors that he's been shooting it lights out in the pre-draft workouts. So maybe he's worked on his jump shot a lot. He'll be better in the NBA. But I mean, defensively, a lot of length. And he's a very, very good playmaker. He's good at getting his teammates open.
Very good. His passes are excellent.
Yep. And I mean, when you got Zion Williamson on one side, you got B.I., CJ McCollum, you got plenty of people to feed. And then also, he's just really good at being able to get open himself. Like I said, the main issue with him is just putting the ball in the basket. He's not really good at scoring, but everything else, getting open, facilitating defensively, he's got a lot of upside. But if he can just work on probably the most important part of basketball, getting the ball in the basket, he's got very, very high upside.
Yeah. I don't necessarily. I agree with most of the stuff you said. Upside, I don't know. I think he's exactly what you see him as. His highlight tapes are about 5 minutes long because it's not him scoring. He can score when you need him to, but he's the guy that. And I know this is a football term, but you want him on the Patriots because he's gonna do what you ask of him. He's gonna pass the ball. He's gonna do his job, and I think that's what Pelicans also need. So that's why I agree with you. It's a perfect fit. Um, he's just a high IQ player. He has a great sight of the court, sees stuff opening before it happens. He's a good rebounder as well. You didn't talk about that. He's a great rebounder. He's just good at everything that's not scoring. So he's not going to be that guy that drops 25 points a game, but he is going to be the guy that shows up in the rebounding and the assist column, and he'll knock down that three when you need him to. I think he's all around just a very solid player.
He almost kind of feels like Alonzo Ball-esque type guy, skill-wise. Kind of almost has a lot of the same skills as him. Like a lot of the same strengths, weaknesses. Former Pelican. Number 9.
I saw my bad. I saw him as a. I had him compared to Chris Duarte and Furkan Korkmaz.
Korkmaz. That's
Very
interesting.
very interesting, right? He can't
I
shoot like
don't.
Korkmaz, but I
I don't see that one.
I see Korkmaz. I'm not talking about shooting. Korkmaz is lights out, but I'm talking about when he's passing and when he's dribbling, creating space. I don't know why, but in such a random comparison, but I just saw that in him.
So next up, we both have the same guy, and I'm guessing we're probably seeing some of the same stuff. I mean, he just seems like a Spurs pick. Osman Jang. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I really didn't get to see too much of him either. He, played overseas, but I mean, he's got a lot of potential, a lot of flashes. He's very raw. He might even need to play a little bit in G League, but he's got a very very nice looking shot. Just the actual look of his jump shot looks very nice, and I mean, he's got some good defensive flashes. And the kind of scary part is the man's almost 7 foot tall, and he kind of plays like a point guard almost. He's a very good passer. He's a very good ball handler for his size, which is just scary potential. I mean, who knows how long Pop's going to be there? Um, so if he's going to be able to develop him, but I mean, Ousmane Dieng is a very Spurs player,
Yeah,
and it could be a very good fit.
that was my thought process for the pick as well. Very Spurs pick. But the one thing I say about him is shots pure, and when you were talking about very tall for a point guard, it's a European thing. I'm telling you, it is because there's two players like that in the draft that could be point guards, but they're 6'10". Him and Nikola Jovic. They could be point guards. They really can be. Like they have the playmaking ability. So I think that's just more of an out of the country thing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely being like they're just having
They're playing
their
grown
best
men.
players play point
Yeah,
guard, and these guys are at crazy heights. It's I mean, just in general, it's happening more often that these taller guys are being able to handle the rock.
and they're gonna be. And the one thing I like about these guys is they're playing in a league with a bunch of older men. They end up being way more mature than what these other 18 or 19-year-olds are in this draft.
But yeah, and that's
It's
why
just
some
how they
people are
grow
trying.
up. That's my one word for them as well is mature. They're always mature. And this guy has been playing in this league since I think it said 16. It's just it, it, it's hard not to like that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Oh, he just got to get like I say, it's very raw. He's got to work on his game, get more polished. But I mean, the upside is there. And then 10th overall, um, I have Shaden Sharp. Um, and who do you have at number 10?
AJ Griffin. So
Yep,
swap.
you want to go first?
We already talked about it. Basically, we already talked about this pick. Technically, we basically had a swap of 7 and 10. That's why I was laughing when you said yours. Um, both about the same position. We already talked about AJ Griffin and Shaden Sharp. Don't know much about Shaden, and we just know we both like AJ. And 10 seems like a good spot for him, especially on the Wizards who might lose Beal. You just don't know. They could definitely use it, and don't have a great three on their team as well. Corey Kispert, I believe, is their starter.
Yeah, and I mean, Kispert had some flash last year, but nothing that makes you think that he's going to be the next best thing. But I mean, Shade Sharp, I mean, like you said, he didn't play college. He only go off high school. But I mean, the one thing you can say is he has all the tools offensively. He's obviously didn't play college, so from what we've seen, he looks very like a raw prospect offensively. He's got very very large wingspan. He can go ahead and basically do whatever you want offense. He can shoot the ball. He can score the ball. He can play make. He's got a lot of offensive potential. Defensively, I really can't tell you if he's good defensively or not. It's just watching high school stuff. Not really seeing too much of that. But he has all the tools offensively. And I mean, if the Wizards, like I have him picking here, takes the gamble, I mean, we'll see if Beal stays and he plays alongside Beal. But that's the thing with this draft class in general. A lot of these guys are very boomer bust in general, in my opinion. A lot of these guys have big question marks, but they have some crazy boom potential. But they also have very, very low floors.
For sure. And it's tough. Getting back to the AJ Griffin thing, it's tough to watch these players Because if you look at it, and I don't know how they didn't go as far in the Sweet 16 or what did Duke make it through Sweet 16, right?
I don't remember how far they
It
went.
doesn't matter. They should have gone further. They have a lot of players that have high ass upside. They have Griffin. They have Paolo. They have another first round pick, Williams, the center, Mark
Mark
Williams.
Williams. I really like Mark Williams.
Very good player. Like they have 4 players that are going first round, and then their point guard, who's supposed to go end of the first round. I love him as well. Wendell Moore Jr. He's very good. I don't know how they don't go further. It's tough to watch them because you have so many stars on that court. And they all got it's like a G League type of thing. Where they all did you realize that every first round G League player was on Ignite?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the team that they're going to, right? All these guys are going to Ignite on purpose. But the thing is, it's like in college basketball, it's March Madness. The more experienced teams more often than not win it. The teams with all freshmen, they don't have the experience to go through it, so they typically don't go as far as. I mean, who won it this year? I can't think of the top of my head who won it this year.
Kansas.
Kansas, yeah, they had a lot of experience on that team.
Seniors and seniors and seniors. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean that's why they go further than a team with all these freshmen. The last team really to win with mostly freshmen since the star player, I think, was Duke when they had Tyus Jones, Justice Winslow, Julio Okafor. I think that's really the last
Was
team.
Taylor super experienced?
I mean, yeah, I mean Jared Butler. I think was Jared Butler. I believe was a senior. Davion Mitchell, I believe, was a senior. They're a very experienced team.
I think they had him last year as well when they won. The guy with the colorful hair, he's supposed to go. Soshin. I think he was on the team as well. Davion Mitchell. I just didn't know.
Yeah, they were a very experienced team.
Okay.
And even Gonzaga, even though they had Suggs as freshmen, I mean Drew Timmy's very experienced. They had Corey Kispert. They had they had someone else who got drafted. I can't think of the top of my head. Or
it was a big man, wasn't it? Not a big tall guy, but it was a muscly guy.
They had someone else who I can't think of the top of my head. But that's besides the point at the moment. But lastly, I mean, you can't have a draft without some sleepers, right? You think of a couple of years ago. I've seen the screenshot lately. Look at the last couple of picks. You had like Keldon Johnson pick 28. You had like Jordan Poole pick 30. And I'm forgetting the other guy who's
Kevin Porter Jr. 32.
No, he was 30. It was Keldon Poole.
Poole was 27.
Was that it?
Jordan Poole was 27. Keldon Johnson was 28, and Kevin Porter Jr. was 30. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was right.
But anyways, that's some sleepers. And there's gonna be some sleepers this year. I have a list of 5 people, and I'll just list my sleepers right now. So some sleepers I like Ochai Agbaji. I think I pronounced that right, from Kansas. I do really like him. I like Blake Wesley from Notre Dame. I like Jaden Hardy, who did play for the G League Ignite. I like Jake Lavaria, who I believe it was Wake Forest that he went to.
Yeah, it was Wake Forest.
Yep, and then Justin Lewis from Marquette. I like those guys as sleepers. Some of those, I mean, someone like Ochai Agbaji is a bit more of a lottery type guy, but I kind of see a bit of Desmond Bane in him. I really like Desmond Bane when he came out. I see some Desmond Bane in this game, and I think he's got potential to have a long career in the league. So unlike Blake Wesley, I see Tyrese Maxion. They could be drafted in around the same range, and I just think they have very similar game to one another.
You know who I saw in Blake Wesley? Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Bones Highland. It's hard not to. Just quick as shit. They have the same jump shot. And I think why you saw who you see at Agbaji?
Desmond Bane.
I think one thing that I confuse when I watch players is their jump shot form. They both have that wide base jump shot as Desmond Bane. So I get that's why I was kind of Agbaji and AJ Griffin were confusing me a little bit because they both have that wide set jump shot. Go back to your thing.
Yeah. Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy has a lot of potential. I think some teams can be very lucky to get Jaden Hardy. Someone that I just mentioned, Jordan Poole. He's just like straight bucket getter. Jaden Hardy. Yeah. He's going to be someone who can. I see a 6-man of the year in his future. He's just a straight bucket getter. Jake Lavaria. That one was a hard one for me to come up with a comparison for. But he can shoot the lights out. He's a very good defender for his size. I kind of came up with a Gordon Hayward one, but I don't like that at all. Uh, but I try to come up with a comparison for him. But I do think that he might be able to contribute from day one. I heard that one team gave him a first round promise. I've heard that rumor. I don't know who. I could see a team like Dallas or something like that using him and him being a very productive guy for them right off the
The
bat.
Reggie Bullock type of guy.
No, he's a lot bigger than he's more like a four. I think they could
No,
put
I'm
more
just
like a
saying
four.
as far as just hitting down, playing defense, hitting a shot, playing
Oh
defense.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of length on him. And Justin Lewis, I kind of have a mixture of like a Kelton Johnson, Thaddeus Young type. He's got a little bit of an unorthodox type jumper. It looks kind of weird, but it goes in. He's got a good mid range shot. He loves to spin move to get inside. He's kind of like a four. Maybe he could play some small ball five, but I think that he can be developed and with the right team. He has a lot of potential.
All right, and I only have two guys that I did the first round, but I want to read something I wrote real quick, and you literally talked about it. It made me laugh. Jaden Hardy. I wrote for one of his things. I wrote just randomly watching one of his highlights. I said I could just tell he's gonna be that backup point guard on an NBA team that's gonna come in and average 10 plus points and make the fans of the opposing team roll their eyes when he's checking in. And I put so when you said six man, I was like, dude. So my comparisons for him were Gabe Vincent and Jalen Brunson. They're just gonna come in and he's gonna come in and drop points. He's a bucket getter, just like you said. But he's not one of my sleepers. I feel like I guess you could add him in there. I really like him, and he'll probably go in the 20s. But my sleepers for this year, I only have two. I only did the first rounders because it's hard to project the second rounders. There's a lot of guys.
Yeah,
There's a list of 100 guys that can go in the second round.
there's a reason why these guys second rounders really also.
Yeah. So I have two guys, and I have Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara. I don't know what made me like him so much, but it just seems like everything he was doing, it was so methodical and planned out, and it was slow motion, and it was like Chris Paul. Of course, he's not, my comparison is not Chris Paul. He's way bigger than Chris Paul, but just you know what I'm talking about. He's taking his time, getting what he wants. Very clean jumper, very decent on the defensive side. I think he's an all around just good ass player. And I've like I made that prospect. I made that profile like 3 days ago. And I've heard since that he's jumping high. He's rising lists. But I really do like Jalen Williams. And my second one is a guy that I hated at first, but I watched more of him, and I'm like, I just can't get over it. Walker Kessler, the center out of Auburn. I I hated him at first, but the more and more I watch him, he's got you could just tell he grew up playing point guard, and now he's 7'1" and still has. You know what I'm saying? He won't pass the ball like a point guard. I'm not saying that, but he just has the movement and the hips of a point guard, and could also splash a three. Not consistently, he shot 20% from three, but he's got a very good form, very good touch from the mid range as well. And I'm not gonna say he is Joel Embiid, but that was my comparison because
Just because they went to Kansas.
no, he didn't. Kessler
Oh,
didn't
oh,
go.
you said Auburn. You said
Yeah,
Auburn.
Kessler went to Auburn, but it's like just a touch from the mid range from the three, 7'1", has like the same type of movement as Joel in the paint. He's just a big fucking kid, and he has point guard head. I could just tell, where he just let me to shoot a dribble, but he forgets he's 7'1". So usually those players don't add up in the league. Myers Leonard is one of them, but I saw more Joel Embiid than I saw Myers Leonard, and that's why I'm like, he could be a sleeper, and I had him on my sleeper list.
Yeah, don't really know too much about him. I'm gonna have to
I have to watch some of them.
look out a little more.
Yeah, because it's you've seen big men hit threes, but he's got a nice form on it, and I know he's only shooting 20%, but he's got a nice ass form, and if he just hits it more consistently, he could be a threat, like a big threat. And he's a point guard, and he's not a point guard. Let me stop saying that, but he got point guard movement inside a 7'1" body, which is scary to think about. He's one of my thing I wrote was he's the my career center you make on 2K.
My cruise.
Yeah, where he's just crossing everybody up and like making like Euro steps, 7'1", and then just hitting it from downtown randomly. He's very hard to tell what he's going to be, but all he's got the body and he's got all the talent in the world to be whatever he wants to be.
I like it. I like it. Sounds fun.
So, it sounds very fun to watch. I'm excited for him.
Yeah. But I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. I don't think we got anything else. We will come back soon to go ahead and recap the draft, see if there's any surprises, any surprise trades, and probably go ahead and preview free agency next time we're here. I hope you guys did enjoy this. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow, leave a 5-star rating if you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And make sure you guys go ahead, leave a like, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're listening to us on YouTube. You got any closing statements?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a lot of deaths have been happening in the NFL, and I want to say rest in peace to Jalen Ferguson. Of course, it didn't come out yet how he died, but it's a player I loved out of college, Louisiana Tech. He was a sack leader in college. I loved him coming out of college, and it's just sad that it's happening too much. And a lot of these young guys are losing their lives, and I'm not sure how, but I just wanted to say rest in peace to Jeff Gladney and Jalen Ferguson. It's happening too much, and it's sad, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and throw Caleb Swanigan in there as well. Rest in peace to him as well. And just in general, I mean, make sure you guys are being safe out there, you know?
Yep, and take care of yourselves. That's the biggest thing. Definitely take care of yourselves. And of course, we don't know how he died, but it's sad to see all these bright young futures disappearing. It's just sad.
Yeah. All right. On that note, hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you guys all later.
See you guys.